Hello and welcome back for another episode of the Hesse Bros. It's your boy Brent Hesse, and joining me, my brother Luke. And we might need the introductions this week, Luke, because neither of us in our normal outfits. What are you wearing down there, brother?
Well, Brent, let's just say that Thanksgiving game did not turn out the way I was planning it, and I made some extravagant bets on the Lions to be able to beat the Packers. And that's why I'm wearing this right here. At least it's Jair Alexander, the old Louisville boy, and he's not on the team anymore. It's not the end of the world, Brent. How do I look in green and gold? I've never worn these trash colors before.
Big Packers guy, Luke. Not too bad, dude. You look like Christian Watson just sprinting down the side of the field for an easy touchdown.
I do not like to hear that. I wish I looked terrible. And this will be the last time you're seeing me in it. But hey, the Packers did get a big dub for me last week, and now the Lions have a chance to win out, and they're in for sure. Whereas if they would have lost to the Bears, that wouldn't have been the case. So, hey, I was a Packers fan this week, and let's get into some other matchups from last week.
Well, Luke, first, you know who I am.
Oh, yeah, who are you, Brent?
Well, I'm
Santa Claus?
Santa Claus, but cool Santa Claus, because I'm the cool Santa Claus that just you get a win, you get a win. If you're on the Chiefs schedule, you get a win, you get a win. Everybody's getting wins this year on the Chiefs, man. We're just giving them away, so it's the spirit of giving.
Yep, you play the Chiefs, you get a good present, nice little W there. Sad times, not the way it used to be, huh?
Very dark day in the Hesse Bros world, but we are having some fun with it, Luke. And let's go back to Thursday. It's been a long time since that Lions game, but what I remember from it, Luke, is that Jahmyr Gibbs was unstoppable. 3 touchdowns. The Lions turned Dak over a couple of times, including that big pick six, and then Gibbs came through with 2 fourth quarter touchdowns. How clutch was he in the offense, just answering the bell every time the Cowboys scored?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a complete 180 from where we were before Dan Campbell started calling plays and where we are now. Gibbs is getting the ball in space all the time, breaking dudes' ankles left and right. He is looking like the best running back in the league right now, and there's really no doubt about it. He can do it all. He can be power back up the middle, get the yards you need to, and also just absolutely snatching guys' ankles left and right. Just give the ball to him every time. This is all I've been saying for the past 3 weeks, and Dan is doing exactly that. And we're starting to get back to our form we were in last year. Our defense, they can step up a little bit. We're in a good spot right now, and just got to win a few more games against some tough competition. Get us ready for those playoffs. Get us in there.
Best running back in the NFL?
I think so. He's playing like it right now. They've been taking turns. It was JT, it was Bijan at the start of the year, and now it's Gibbs time.
McCaffrey,
Who
gotta
knows
give
who'll step
McCaffrey
up
some credit
next?
too.
McCaffrey's been doing it all year, absolutely.
Well, look, it was
But
a
I think
big win.
Gibbs right now.
It was a big win for the Lions, and especially that it was a must win. Backs against the wall. I said it last week. It was a loser leave town game. Now, since the Eagles lost, the Cowboys aren't completely out of it. They're going to need a lot of losses. I think they're out of it for the wild card, but they definitely still have that division path. But for the Lions, where's your feeling now in terms of the playoff race after everything that transpired this week and the Lions getting that win?
I'm feeling good. Like I said, Packers got the win and the Lions got the win. So Bears are down. As long as the Lions and the Bears, stay on the same record they are now, going into that game in Week 18, if the Bears get a win out, and we say we lose to the Rams, then we don't have a shot. But as long as we stay same record with the Bears the next 3 weeks, we're going to have that chance to go to their stadium and beat them for that wild card spot. So that's the worst case scenario if as long as we can get to that, and I'm absolutely happy with that. Give us a little playoff game before the playoffs against the Bears, who we already beat by 25.
A better scenario than what we're looking at, Luke, as we move on to the next game.
Absolutely, and we all saw that on Sunday Night Football, the downfall of the Chiefs. All three of their, most important pieces to their dynasty, Mahomes, Reed, and Kelsey, all with huge mistakes, just baffling decisions, and just completely terrible execution in that one, Brent. It was tough to watch. Who do you think had the biggest screw up in that one?
Honestly, I think it was Andy Reid. I really do. I think the fourth down call was crazy because it was unlike anything Reid does. We saw in the Cowboys game, in a game where it was a shootout. Both teams were moving the ball up and down the field. Reid punted in plus territory 3 times. And then he's in at his own 30-yard line in a tie game, in a game that's 10-10. The Texans hadn't scored all second half. The Chiefs had already scored 10 points in that second half. They had the momentum. They didn't need to gain the momentum. They just needed to hold serve and move the field position back. But on that fourth down, Juju came open early. Then he waits for Rice. Rice doesn't make the catch. Good defensive play. And obviously, then at the end, Kelsey, the ball's behind him. It's probably should have been caught, but it should have been a better ball. And there were a lot of balls I thought that Mahomes just missed through, or like the interception when he was going deep to Hollywood. Now, I thought that was a dumb play call as well. They had Rashee Rice trying to block one of the Texans' dominant edge rushers, whether it was Hunter or Anderson. Well, Anderson, I can't remember which one, but it was Rashee Rice one-on-one, and that was the design to try to allow enough time for Hollywood to get down the field. And he was open. He had the corner beat, but Mahomes underthrew that ball, and it got picked off. It was all three of them for sure, but I think that the play calling was just so frustrating. Mahomes' completion percentage was awful again, just like it was against Buffalo, under 50%. And Rashee Rice had some big drops as well. A lot of players had big drops. Noah Gray with two big drops in the game. The one to Kareem Hunt on the third down, I thought Mahomes just needed to hold on to the ball just a tick longer. He fired it at him. It hits him in the face mask. He didn't have time to react and get his hands up. I don't think that's on Kareem Hunt. That's not on the running back. Now, obviously, the one that everyone remembers from the Super Bowl against Tampa Bay, where Mahomes is sideways, flings it, and that one goes through the guy's hands and hits him in the face mask, the running back. That's obviously on the running back. But if your running back doesn't even have time, he turns his head, and before he can get his hands up, the ball is hitting you in your face mask. That means that the ball was thrown too soon before he got out of his break. He just needed to wait a tick longer or put a little bit more loft on that ball. That probably turns into from a field goal to a touchdown. You're up 14-10, and the whole complexion is different. So all of them had their issues. I thought it was, as a whole, the worst game the Chiefs have played this season. First time they've lost by more than a single possession. They got beat by 10. The Texans are a good team, but the Chiefs, when they finally locked in that segment from the start of the third quarter until that fourth down, early fourth quarter, they were the better team, and you could tell that. And then they just let it all go, and then they started pressing, and it all unraveled from there. So big screw-ups all around, not for the Chiefs, not only for the Chiefs, but also for my fantasy team that got outscored. Nico Collins outscores both Mahomes and Rashee Rice, my two beautiful boys I've been riding all season long. In the biggest moment, they let me down and give me the loss in that one. So it was a heartbreaker on Sunday night. Luke, felt like a Super Bowl loss, because that's pretty much all I've experienced the last 5 years, and it felt like that was their time. After the Colts had lost, it was like the winner of that game, the Chiefs and Texans, is going to take the Colts spot and is going to be pretty much a shoo-in for the playoffs, because the Colts are unraveling. Now I feel like the Texans are a shoo-in for the playoffs because they've got the Colts spot, and the Chiefs are going to have to find a spot somewhere else.
Yep, they got that tiebreaker now, as long as the Jags, who also have the tiebreaker, so whoever doesn't win that division between those two still is going to be able to knock the Chiefs out of the playoffs with the same record. And just like you were saying, Brent, it was all three of them, and it was so just strange to see, because it looked like they were frantic. It looked like they were out of sorts, whereas we've seen them in tough spots. All three of those guys in tough spots in the playoffs, and we're like, oh yeah, they can get it done, and they do, time after time, year after year. But for some reason in the regular season, these past couple games, they just look frantic. They look out of sorts. Mahomes, like you said, making plays that he would never make. Kelsey dropping, easy catches that ended up losing them the game, directly there on that last one. And Andy Reid just making a frantic play call. I mean, 4 straight 3-and-outs to start the third quarter. You punt the ball away there, you're getting it right back in the same spot. The Texans' offense couldn't do anything in that second half, and you're just going to get it right back. You just hand over the momentum for no reason. It was just frantic, and it is not what you're expecting out of a Chiefs team, whether it's regular season or playoffs.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to Chris Jones and that defense. He invigorated that team and the defense in the third quarter, got him and the rest of the pass rushers dominating that Texans offensive line, which is their biggest weakness, took advantage. And the Chiefs, with the banged-up offensive line, I think still played better than the Texans' starting offensive line. That was the spot to get it, but they just didn't give themselves enough opportunities to be able to do so, and it cost them the game and probably the season.
Yeah, well, it might have cost them the season. They still got a chance to sneak in there if things go the right way for them. And we'll get into that once we get into the more matchups later on in the episode. But let's get to another game of the week on Monday Night Football here. Eagles versus Chargers. It goes into overtime. I think we had, 10 turnovers in that game, 3 on one play. One of the strangest games I've ever seen, but it was entertaining throughout. Even though the offenses weren't doing a whole lot, they kept us entertained all night long. And the Chargers, of course, get a pick to win the game in overtime. Brent, do you think the Hurts is the problem with the Eagles, or is there someone else to put the blame on for this slide they're going on?
I think he certainly was the problem on Monday night. Now, overall, I think the problem is the offense, and Jalen Hurts is the biggest part of that offense. So he is a big part of the problem. Obviously, there's a lot of pieces. The offensive line is diminished. Saquon doesn't look to be as explosive, although he did have that long run on the fake tush push. But Patullo is not right. Obviously, he's going to be gone. They're going to have to go to another offensive coordinator like they do every single year, it feels like, in Philadelphia. But Hurts was a huge problem on Monday night. Not only the play where he had 2 turnovers on one play, the interception was not a good throw, and then he gets the ball just go down. I don't know why he's trying to spin away from defensive tackles when he's recovering a fumble. Just grab it and go down instead of trying to make it. Was going to be first down. It was a change of possession. It would have gone from third down to first down. You just are 10 yards further back. Instead, he does something stupid there, and then his most costly mistake was obviously in overtime on a 1st and 10, trying to throw the ball into a tight window when he had Goddard in the flat. Just throw it down near his knees, and it's either him or nobody. Move on to second down. You have the field goal in the bag at the very least as you're trying to go for the touchdown for the win. So Hurts, it's weird because that's always something he's prided himself on is not turning the ball over. Sometimes he doesn't have that many yards, but he takes care of the ball and they ultimately find a way to win. That's not been the case at all in recent weeks. He is turning the ball over and it is costing them games. And that was a big one for the Chargers. Chargers winning that game goes a long way for them getting in the playoffs and keeping Kansas City out.
Absolutely. And I think that it comes down to the Eagles. A lot of it might be this outside noise of we've seen this story from the same team before 2 years ago. We've been bringing it up. I mean, everyone has it in the back of their mind, I feel like, that they could do something similar where they fall apart at the end of the year after looking like they, should be one of the best teams earlier on. And so it's just adding, stacking on. It's like Jalen Hurts. He could either be a great quarterback or a bad one. And everyone's kind of validated in that right now because he just won a Super Bowl, but he also does not look good at all and is leading one of the worst offenses in the league right now. It's so strange to see.
And another A.J. Brown performance where he got all the looks he could want. A lot of yards. He went over 100 yards again, but had 3 really major mistakes, dropping that play on the first drive, then tipping the ball up for the interception, and then having a chance to seal it late with touchdown. Instead, they get away with 3 points, and Chargers went down, sent it into overtime. So 3 big mistakes on A.J. Brown's part as well, even though he was involved throughout the game and had a lot of yards, but also some costly mistakes. So the Eagles, exactly, they are looking like that 2023 slide all over again.
The only thing that makes it different for me is how good their secondary is playing. They absolutely locked up all the receivers for the Chargers.
Is incredible.
Absolutely. And yeah, having him and some of those other young guys they got back there, they can still keep the Eagles in every single game because you can't just throw it deep and, get a bunch of yards. You're not going to be able to do it against them. So the offense is going to have their chances, whether they get it done or not. Probably won't be able to get it done in the biggest spots against the best defenses come the end of the season. But it is wild that they will be in every single game.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to get some wins because the Cowboys are on their tail, and obviously they've got the Raiders this week. That is a must-win with Buffalo still up to come, and then 2 games against Washington. They've got to win at least 3 out of those 4, or else the Cowboys can win out and take that division. So very interesting, Luke, as we talk about some of the other games from Week 13. And one of my reactions that I liked the Bears a lot last week. It was my upset pick of the week, and in the fourth quarter, it was looking good. Josh Jacobs gets that touchdown on 3rd and goal. It's looking bad. Caleb gets him down the field, looking good again. And then just a horrible play on a 4th and 1, trying to throw to the end zone, underthrowing the man, picked off. And the Packers get the win at home, but they win at home against a team that I think most people thought they were better than going into the game. So the Packers, I think, proved they're a force. They got Christian Watson and Jaden Reed back, and those guys are helping out the offense a lot, and that's creating more space up front for Jacobs to run, and he's looking strong recently. But I think also the Bears prove that they're a threat. If they can play toe to toe right there with Green Bay, which I think they did in that game on the road, it proves that the Bears are a team that needs to be respected here going down the stretch.
They definitely are. I mean, they're on a really good run right now, and that was definitely one where it seemed like the Packers kind of still had control over that one. They were never really too worried about actually losing that game. Even coming down to the wire there, sure, the Bears, maybe they do get a touchdown, go for two, and win it, but I just did not see that happening watching that game from my point of view. The Bears are just, it seems like this is a year where they're going to maybe make the playoffs, maybe barely miss it, get knocked out early, but then be able to really build on what they've done this year into the offseason and probably have a really strong team next year.
So watching that game, and obviously the Packers and Bears ahead of Detroit in the NFC North, does that give you more or less confidence going forward for the Lions to be able to catch one or both of them?
It gives me a lot of confidence that we'll be able to catch the Bears. I mean, I think the Lions are set up to beat them pretty well. I think Caleb Williams at home, he's going to have to do a lot, and we're able to stop the run. Like, I think the Lions, one of their biggest strengths on defense is having those big run stoppers and great linebackers that can make those tackles. And if we're putting it all on Caleb Williams, in Chicago in January, I mean, he's not going to be able to make all the great throws, and we should be able to clean that one up.
What caught your eye this week, Luke?
Well, it was sad because the Colts were Super Bowl champions in September and October, and it's all come crashing down now. Daniel Jones tears his Achilles, and the season's over. I mean, they're dead in the water come Monday. But then we hear a little something. Maybe Peyton Manning's coming back? Oh, wait, no. It's Phillip Rivers, about the same age. I mean, yeah, it could be Andrew Luck. No, they go with old Phil, and he's giving them a shot. Unfortunately not. They're still completely dead in the water. It doesn't matter who they have right now. It's not someone like Phillip Rivers is not someone that's going to be able to come back and actually be able to beat the teams they have on their schedule and make the playoffs. Obviously, it would be a great story, but the season's still over, and they're grasping at straws right now because they gave away their whole future at the trade deadline for Sauce Gardner. They mortgaged their future for this season, trying to salvage it and make a deep run in the playoffs, while the AFC looks wide open right now with teams like the Chiefs and Ravens not playing as well, and it's all come apart.
It absolutely has. I kind of put it all in a picture last week talking about how big of a game that was, not just for the season, but for the franchise going forward, not having first-round picks. And now you've got that question with Daniel Jones hanging over your head even more so with an injury. What do you do with him going forward into next year? Do you rely on him? Do you want to go back to him? Or is this not the way forward? It's a huge question mark. Obviously, Rivers is not the answer. It's wild that he is back. He hasn't played in 5 years. He was at the podium saying, "Oh, I'm so glad we don't have Zoom interviews anymore." The last time he was coaching, or last time he was playing, it was COVID year, 2020, and they were doing press conferences through Zoom. It's absolutely nuts. The guy has no business playing against an NFL defense, and he's got a fearsome one coming up, the Seahawks. That is going to be ugly. I just hope he doesn't get destroyed in that game, but absolutely. The Colts season is over. Right now, they are still holding on to that playoff spot, but their schedule is brutal, and they're going to continue this slide.
Yeah, Brent, what else did you see last week?
Well, I thought the Bengals played really well in the snow up in Buffalo, but they blew a prime chance to win that game. The offense was moving the ball all day, and then Joe Burrow just had those costly mistakes in the fourth quarter. That pick six, I still don't know exactly what happened as he glitched out, and the Bills ran the ball back the other way. Bengals win that game, especially with the Ravens losing. I think the Bengals like their chances against the Steelers. Now they somehow still have a chance, but that if they win that game, I think it's definitely possible that we're discussing who is the favorite in the NFC North right now, and any of the three teams would have a viable shot now. Obviously, the Bengals are still in it, but they're going to need to win out and get some help. And they were playing toe to toe with Buffalo until the fourth quarter. So I was surprised that they did that they were right there. But once they were, it was like, okay, this Bengals team, we know their offense is good. If they can just seal this one up, they are right there, and they were unable to do so.
That would have been a great upset of the week pick by yours truly, but didn't work out as Joe Burrow collapsed whenever, they needed it most. In the snow, Josh Allen came out, and he was better in that fourth quarter.
Well, Luke, what else did you see from Week 13?
Well, Brent,
Week 14.
The Bucks are frauds all along. I've been calling it out all year. Now they've dropped 4 of their last 5 games, and they're just not that good of a team. You can say it's because of injuries. I just think it's because it's a stale roster, older players, and they just don't have the juice anymore. They were getting lucky in these close games earlier in the season, and this is the way it flips. Now you're over here losing to the Saints because Emeka Ibuka, your star rookie, drops a wide open touchdown. That's the way it goes. The Bucks are going to continue their slide. They got to play the Panthers division matchup for the division, and 2 times in these last 4 weeks, and I think that the Panthers are going to knock them out and get that division.
Well, it was a good week for Carolina on bye. There's no doubt about that. Tyler Shuck was just shucking people off of them and getting in the end zone. That was impressive. He balled out. Saints got a very surprising win. That was my lock of the week. And the Buccaneers, you're right. There are some big issues with them. You've been off the Bucks all season, Luke. I'm starting to agree. I still think they win the division over Carolina, but it is absolutely a race right now, and the Panthers have snuck up on them.
Absolutely, Brent. Now, let's get into another little side segment here. We had our Super Bowl predictions at the start of the year. Let's go ahead and get our updated Super Bowl predictions now that things have started to shake up a little bit. Why don't you tell us what your Super Bowl predictions were and what your new one is?
Do I have to say what they were?
I think you have to.
Okay, well, I had Kansas City over Minnesota, but we are going to switch that around. And in the AFC, I think the Patriots get the 1 seed. I think that carries them to the AFC Championship. Who they play there could go a number of different ways. I honestly like the Texans a lot right now. I'll say Patriots over the Texans in the AFC. And in the NFC, the Rams look like an absolute wagon. So we're going to go with the Rams. And they are going to play Green Bay. Green Bay's looking stronger that they're getting healthy. I like Green Bay and LA with the Rams taking that one. Rams Patriots Super Bowl 2018 style. And this time it goes Sean McVay's way. He doesn't have Belichick to stifle him. So Rams over Patriots is my updated Super Bowl prediction.
All right, Brent. I'm going with the Texans over the Broncos in the AFC Championship. I think the Texans got the best defense in the league right now, and Stroud is starting to come along. So he's going to be able to make the Super Bowl here. Well, if you think about these last 2 years, besides the Bills, the Ravens, and the Chiefs, the Texans have been that 4th team, and they're getting everything cooking right now. So this is their chance while it's open right now for the AFC. They're going to be able to make it. And then, of course, Detroit's going to be able to, I think, have a decent chance, if not win the division, get a nice wild card spot. And we're going to make it to the NFC Championship game against the Seahawks. And Lions are going to get that one done. And then, of course, the Lions are going to take down the Texans in the Super Bowl.
Well, at least you still get to keep your Super Bowl winner. So well done, Luke. But we will see. I'm very happy with my picks now than I was a week ago. So Rams over Patriots, I'm feeling good about that one. And as we start talking about these Week 15 matchups, that leads us right into the first game. And there was Sully on the field, Mike Wazowski, everybody on Monday night for the Eagles-Chargers game. But now we're going to the Nickelodeon game, Luke. It's Drake and Josh, Bills, Patriots. And my question to you is, will Drake outperform Josh in this spot?
I don't think so. I think Josh has got what it takes. He might be a little bit more chubbier. Drake's got a little bit more charisma, but I think Josh is the way to go in this one.
He can run people over.
He can't run people over. He's ready to go. No, Josh. I think Josh Allen is definitely going to be able to do better than Drake May in this one. Drake May, if you will say. But no, Josh is going to be able to get it done. I think the Patriots' best chance is just to run the ball. The Bills' rush defense is not very solid, and I think their best chance is to get that early lead and then rely on Travion and Ramondre Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson. And I think that's their only way they can get it done. Are they going to be able to do that? No, I think the Bills are going to be able to claim their stake on this division that the Patriots took from them in that Sunday Night Football matchup earlier this season. Josh is not ready to give up the reins that easily, though.
See, I've been impressed by Drake May, and he keeps doing things that I'm like, eventually he's going to have to run out of it. Why can he not do it against this Bills defense that just gave up 34 points in the snow to the Bengals? Obviously, their run defense is their weakness, but we saw that they have holes in that pass defense too. They're so banged up. And the Bills, it's basically all Josh Allen. That run game is good. James Cook is a great player, but they don't have the weapons on the outside. The Patriots already won in Buffalo, and they outplayed him in that game. Now May's got more starts under his belt. The Patriots continue to look better. That time it was a big surprise the Patriots won. Now they have continued to improve when the Bills have been up and down. I think Drake can absolutely outperform Josh, and the Patriots being underdogs at home is a little disrespectful to me. So I am on those New Englanders in this one.
All right, already starting off hot with the different take. Let's see if it continues here. On to another matchup in that AFC North. The Ravens at the Bengals. This is an elimination game for the Bengals. Can't get in with 10 losses. And, Brent, will we see either of these quarterbacks return to the form that we expect from them? Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, two of the best quarterbacks in the league. Joe Burrow coming off injury, had a really bad game last week, and Lamar has not been good at all for this past month. Can they get back to it?
Yeah, I think Joe Burrow absolutely can. He's got Jamar Chase. We'll see about T. Higgins trying to get out of concussion protocol. But this Bengals team just went into Baltimore, very similar to the last game, division matchup. The Bengals already won on the road. Lamar, until proven otherwise, I'm going to have to not expect the vintage Lamar and expect the current Lamar. So I think absolutely Burrow would be the one that returns to form in this game.
Give me Lamar. I'm not giving up hope on him that easily.
Hell
I
yeah,
think
that's the Jair Alexander jersey talking right there.
Oh, yeah, it is. I mean, I'm not giving up hope in Lamar. Going up against the Bengals, he just saw them a couple weeks ago. He saw what they were doing. And he's such a big competitor. He is doing everything he can to get his game back on track. And having just seen the Bengals, what they did to him, I think he'll be able to know what the defense is doing if they try to come in with a similar game plan, and he should be able to dice them up. He has all the skills. We all know this. We've seen it for years, and I think this is the perfect time in a divisional matchup where he can return to form and finally make that push we've been waiting for. Still only one game back from the Steelers.
Well, we're on opposite sides again, Luke. I'll take the home team once more. I like Cincinnati in that one.
Give me the Ravens. And from there, Brent, we're going on to another elimination game. Not what you want to hear, not what you wanted to be, but the Chiefs still have a chance if they're able to get this win against the Los Angeles Chargers in Arrowhead. They can't let the season end there. And we were expecting the Chiefs to have the juice in those last two games and be able to get it done. But are they going to actually have it here against the Chargers when a loss, and you might as well head to Cancun now?
Well, the question to me is, will the Chiefs still have that motivation, the energy, the desire that they showed coming out of the locker room second half against Houston? Because first half was ugly, no doubt about it. But I thought in the second half, they knew the season was on the line. Let's go out, play hard. And they took control of that game until obviously the mistakes we've talked about. Now, if they play with that same level of intensity that, okay, we still believe that we have a chance, we have to go out, we have to win, we have to execute, then I like Kansas City's chances. I think this is a much better matchup than the Texans, where the Chargers, they're banged up on their offensive line. They're coming off a short week. Herbert was sacked 7, 8 times on Monday night. But if Kansas City comes out flat, obviously that's not going to be enough. It's Andy Reid, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Travis Kelce. They, I think, will get up for this game. And if they do that, I think Kansas City does win this one. We'll see if the offensive line can continue to hold up because obviously the Chargers do have a strong pass rush as well. I don't think it's as good as the Texans. And the Texans, the pass rush wasn't really the key for Houston in that game. It was more so the secondary doing their job. And the Chiefs' offensive line held up well. So if they can do that again, I expect Kansas City to be able to get that short route going. Kelsey is going to want to clean his mistakes up. Rice is going to want to clean his mistakes up. Mahomes the same way. So I think this is definitely a bounce back spot, as evidenced by the line, 5.5 at home, when the Chiefs are going to be the ones not making the playoffs and the Chargers will. It's a pretty crazy line, but I think it's about right because I do expect Kansas City to know that they have to win this game, and it's a better matchup than what it was Sunday night against Houston.
Yeah, for me, that is a crazy line, and I would much rather bet on the Chargers line, even though I do think the Chiefs are able to get it done towards the end of the game, are able to just find enough to keep their season alive. But the Chargers defense is really solid. What I've seen out of them these past few weeks, really keeping their offense alive because they have not been able to move the ball very well, with their offensive line struggles. So the Chargers, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and they're going to be able to do enough defensively to keep it as a gritty, divisional matchup. But in the end, the Chiefs should be able to barely get it done.
And I know it's a different injury, but we were talking about Daniel Jones, and he's been playing through injury. He tries to kind of compensate for that broken fibula, and obviously sustains an even worse injury. Herbert's playing with those broken fingers, and you could tell he was compensating for it, trying to make sure he fell on his elbow, taking so many hits on Monday night. I don't know if that's sustainable, for one. And for two, it's just the fact that I think the Chargers are not nearly as good as Houston. So I think that Kansas City should be able to win this game. The more important thing, though, for Kansas City is even winning this game, it gets them a little bit closer. Obviously, the Chiefs' path is win out because it is the Chiefs and Chargers for that last spot. If we're saying Houston takes the Colts spot, Chiefs and Chargers, Kansas City has to win out. If they win, obviously that means the Chargers lose this week. Kansas City will only have the division tiebreaker against the Chargers if the Chargers lose week 18 to the Broncos. So it's so important for Kansas City that the Broncos and Patriots just match strides, that they're still playing for the 1 seed come week 18, and the Broncos need that game. If they do need that game and they are able to beat the Chargers in week 18, then the Chiefs need to win out, and they need the Chargers to lose one of their final 2 games in between Kansas City and Denver's divisional matchups, and those games are both against the Texas teams, against Houston and Dallas. So there is that path, and obviously along with that, they need the Colts to lose at least 2 out of their next 4, but I think everyone is expecting that to happen at this point. So the path is still there. If Kansas City wins and the Broncos don't run away with the 1 seed, it could certainly still become interesting. And right now, that's what the Chiefs have to believe as they go into Arrowhead, because they have to play sharp, they have to play focused, and if they do, I like Kansas City in that one.
It is possible, Brent. And just thinking about that breakdown you had, is there a chance that even if the Broncos are playing, for a 1 seed, 4 seeding, that they intentionally still lose that game just to keep the Chiefs out of the playoffs? A team that I'm sure they don't want to see at any point in the playoffs. And if they'd rather go up against the Chargers, is it possible they're like, let's just make sure the Chiefs don't make it?
Well, I don't think so because, for one, that's something Sean Payton said last year. It was one of the more viral quotes at the end of the year. They played the Bills as the 7-2 seed, and the only reason the Broncos got in is because Kansas City benched all their players in Week 18. If the Broncos would have lost that game, Cincinnati would have gotten the final spot. So the Chiefs did one for Denver, got them into the playoffs, and then Sean Payton, after the Bills game, when they got beat by like 3 or 4 touchdowns, he said, well, if we would have gotten through that game, we really liked our next round matchup, which 7 seed, if they win, they're automatically going to the 1 seed. So they feel confident against Kansas City, and why wouldn't they? So far, they're 1-0 against them this season. Obviously, they'll still play them again to come. And if the Chiefs win that game, then that hurts the Broncos' chances of having that one seed locked up. So there is still that path for Kansas City. And I don't think the Broncos would want to do something like that, especially when the AFC is so wide open. The fact that whoever gets that one seed, you don't have to play in the first round, and the wild card round could be loaded. If the Patriots win the division, the Bills are a wild card. The Texans right now are a wild card, and those are two teams that we think are certainly a threat. And then that last spot's either the Chargers or the Chiefs. So the wild card round is not going to be easy for anybody. No one is going to want to just give themselves. Everyone's going to want to try to earn that bye, and then obviously you get home field throughout the playoffs, and at Mile High, that's a big advantage. So I don't see that happening at all. But we will see it. It'll be interesting unless Kansas City loses this game, and then they are eliminated.
Yep. And we will see come Sunday. That'll be a big matchup. And another very highly anticipated matchup, Brent, is the Colts going to the Seahawks and Phillip Rivers' 45-year-old debut. And Brent, is there any shot the Colts can win this game? Is it possible? And if it is, what do they have to do? I know they got to score more points, but it does not seem possible.
Well, they need to somehow get this game flexed into Sunday night. That way, Sam Darnold freaks out and goes absolute pumpkin mode, throws 4 picks, because Darnold loves the obscure 1 o'clock windows or even the late 3 o'clock games where he's the only guy. Only guys watching him are the locals for both teams. Because if that's the case, Darnold will deal, and this Colts team is going to need a massive game from Jonathan Taylor. They're going to need some trick plays up their sleeve with Warren or something, because I don't trust that. Whether I don't know who their options are. I guess Riley Leonard is injured. They brought in the Brady Cook from Missouri. Obviously, Phillip Rivers is an option, a bad option. So it's possible, but very, very unlikely, Luke. I do not see the Colts really even competing in this game.
I'd love to see it happen. I mean, I think it just has to be all on Jonathan Taylor's back and control the clock. Can you do that against Seattle, against their defense? Probably not, but it's your best shot. You definitely don't want Rivers back there holding on to the ball at all, or else he's going to be in and out quick.
So which side do you like? Colts?
Oh,
plus
definitely like the
13.5?
Seahawks in this one. I mean, I think they're going to blow them out. But if the Colts can win, I'm going to be cheering for them big time. But it's not looking good for them.
Okay, Luke, let's talk about a little bit more competitive matchup. A big one. Two players on both conferences. We got Packers, Broncos. The Broncos are 2.5 point home dogs, Luke. And which team do you see having the better shot to make a run through the playoffs?
I think the Broncos have a better shot. As I said, in my prediction, they're going to the AFC Championship. And the Packers, I feel like, are just going to have a tougher road in the NFC. The Broncos could be going up against a team like Jacksonville in the first round, or even get the bye and play, maybe even Jacksonville to go to the AFC Championship. It's just not as strong competition. And in this one, I still think the Packers are going to be able to win. But just the way that it's shaping up right now, I think the AFC is significantly weaker than the NFC, and it's going to be a lot easier to breeze through there.
I see it differently. I think the Packers defense is right there, not as good as Denver's, but close enough to where give me Jordan Love and that receiving core and that running back over Bo Nix, who has been shaky at best this season until the fourth quarter. A rookie running back, Cortland Sutton, and then just a bunch of guys behind him. The Packers, meanwhile, they position themselves right now. They're the 2 seed. Broncos probably will end up in the 2 seed in my estimation as well. So if they're right there, the same kind of path to the Super Bowl, I think the Packers have the higher ceiling to be able to get there. So I think they're a shot to make Super Bowls better. However, in this one, Green Bay's off an emotional division win. They're going on the road. Mile High is a very unique environment. And Denver, I like their chances. It's 2.5. I think it's a very close to a coin flip game. So if I can get some extra points or extra juice with Denver, that's the side for me in this one.
Wow, that's wild. You're on your division rivals, and I'm on the Packers to win this one. I think they got a better squad than the Broncos, and Jordan Love has been playing really well. Hopefully he shows some weakness here, but I think the Packers probably get it done, unfortunately.
So we have the opposite answers to the Super Bowl question, but then the flipped opposite answers for who wins this game question.
Yep.
Okay, Luke,
Crazy.
we'll have to make sense of that one. It makes about as much sense as our outfits here today for Hesse Bros. And the final matchup we're talking about, Luke, is the highest point total matchup of the season so far, over 55 points on the over-under. And it's because it's Lions-Rams, Goff-Stafford, shootout ball. And the Lions, Luke, they took another devastating injury in their secondary close to the end of that Cowboys game. Any chance that this banged-up secondary can slow down the potential league MVP and probably the best duo of wide receivers in the NFL in Puka and Devontae?
It definitely is possible. And looking at our game last week, I'm so glad we had the Cowboys offense to go up against because it is the closest thing we've seen to what the Rams offense is, closest any NFL team is, with those two receivers. Stafford and Dak both like just sitting back in the pocket and throwing absolute darts. They're very similar. And so the fact that we were able to, we still let the Cowboys score 30 points, but it's about being an opportunistic defense. And this is what the Lions can be. And when we're at our best, that is what they are. They got a good amount of pressure on to Dak Prescott, and we got to do the same thing to Stafford. Get him a little bit uncomfortable, and then just be opportunistic. Get maybe a pick here, just stop him on fourth down, whatever it is. Stafford's going to get a ton of yards, probably over 350. But it's going to come down to, can we just somehow keep those points off the board? Adams is such a good receiver in those tight windows, and Puka had some crazy catches last week and all year. So it's going to be super tough to slow him down. But I like the way our offense is looking like right now. So I think that we can still get it done. We've beat the Rams both the last two times we played them. Once at the start of the year last year and in the playoffs 2 years ago. Both really close games as well. And I think this is a time where the Lions can get it done again. We've got the city behind us, and LA is going to be taken over by the Honolulu Blue.
The problem is that's a different team. I think those two renditions of Detroit were much better. No Ben Johnson this year. Now, the difference is, Luke, that it's indoors. We've seen the Lions throw up their biggest stinkers on offense in road games in Lambeau, in the Link. So the fact that they're playing in a climate-controlled, covered SoFi in LA does give them a chance. It's a much better matchup than going on the road outdoors where Goff has struggled the most. I think it comes down to Hutch, like you said, getting pressure, having that result in either some big sacks that end drives or some turnovers, because they're going to have to keep up. I think it is going to be a high-scoring game, just like the line indicates. And then Dan Campbell picking the right spots to go for it on fourth down and coming up with big plays on those swing-type plays. I think LA still wins the game, but at 6.5, I do like the Lions to keep it within a touchdown. I think it's going to be one that comes down to the wire.
Feed Gibbs. He's playing like the best player in the league right now, and just get him the ball, and everything will be okay.
Well, look, it's time to go to our Week 15 picks. And last week, we crushed it on our props. Devon Achane hit the over on just 7 carries before getting hurt. And you had the over in your contest, or you had the under, correct, on Monday night. And thankfully, that final Jalen Hurts interception sealed the under, even in overtime. So we did well on the props, Luke, but the rest of us need to pick it up on the upsets and locks. So let's start with our upset pick. And it's a game we've already talked about. Patriots at Bills for me. I like New England in this one, plus 1.5. They've already won this game on the road this year. They look better than they did early in the season when they won it. They're coming off extra rest. It's everything you would look for in a victory, especially at home. So give me New England to try to get back to that 1 seed.
Good luck to you, Brent. That should be a good game like we talked about. And my upset is going to be Monday Night Football. The Dolphins are going to Pittsburgh. And the Dolphins don't usually like playing good in bad weather, but I think that Mike McDaniel has his team fired up, and they're going to be ready to go. They still are in playoff contention. almost as much as the Chiefs are at this point. If they can win out, they can still sneak in. And everyone's thinking Pittsburgh, they need it for their division. They're definitely going to win. I think the Dolphins got a good little shot right here. Devon Achane, he is playing like one of the best running backs. He's been so consistent all year. And so feed him the ball. I don't think the Steelers can stop him.
I like that upset pick a lot, Luke. Yeah, the Dolphins are 6-7 in the AFC, same as the Ravens, same as the Chiefs. They are hot, hot, hot. And Pittsburgh is probably happy. They're relieved that they got that win in the division. But I think it was a little fool's goal. They got lucky that they were able to escape with the victory. It was more the Ravens making mistakes and them making plays down the stretch. So Dolphins is definitely one that I'll probably be playing as well, Luke. As we move over to our locks, we've already talked about this game, so we'll keep it quick here. But the Seahawks, they're dominant, man. They absolutely have blown out the Vikings and the Falcons in the last 2 weeks. And this rendition of the Colts is about the same level of team as those two teams they've been playing. So Seahawks minus 13.5. I'll take it.
There you go, Brandon. I'm going with the Houston Texans versus Arizona Cardinals. The Texans are going to be able to completely shut down the Cardinals, and this is a game where Stroud can get going and put up some points. He's been going up against really tough competition all year. The Texans have one of the hardest schedules. They finally get a pretty beatable defense here with the Cardinals, and Stroud is going to let it loose.
And now to our props. Rashee Rice was awful on Sunday night, just like the rest of the team. This has got to be a bounce back spot, and his line goes down. It's only 66.5 this week. Rashee Rice has been one of the best receivers in the NFL coming off his suspension. Obviously, last week notwithstanding. And the Chargers defense, they're designed to keep everything in front. They don't want those balls over the top. That's where Rashee Rice feasts. I think he's going to get a lot of targets, a lot of catches, run after the catch, and 65.5. I wouldn't be surprised if that hits early third quarter.
I like it, Brent. And I'm going with Sunday Night Football. J.J. McCarthy in Dallas. I think that this is a spot where he can hit his over 192.5 yards. I mean, the league and betting especially is all about the storylines, what's going on. And JJ has not played well, but he did have a good game last week, and he still got Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, some good players to throw the ball to, and Dallas can't stop nobody. 192.5 yards, that's easily over for JJ. He's playing for his job right now.
I'd love to see JJ do that. So not a bad one, Luke. I like our chances of a 6-for-6 week as we move into 12-pack time, the thirstiest segment in all of Hesse Bros.
Cheers, Brent. I'm excited to see you liked my 12-pack last week. I'm hoping yours is just as good, not better. I don't have too high of hopes, though, Brent.
Well, let me get my drink right out of the Santa Claus cup holder and give you a tasty, tasty 12-pack, Luke. We're starting off at number 12. And I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys. They lost on Thursday against the Lions, but they played pretty well outside of a couple of crucial plays. That pick six early third quarter kind of put them behind the eight ball. But I still think they're one of the 12 best teams in football as of now. Number 11 is the Chargers. They found a way to win against the Eagles, just like the team at number 12 did recently. So I've got the Chargers at 11. They continue to win and are looking like they're in a good spot for a playoff spot. Number 10, the Chicago Bears. They lost to the Packers, but I thought they played close to toe-to-toe with them. They proved that they are a solid, if not good team in the NFL, although not one of the top-tier teams. So that's number 10. Going up to 9 is the 49ers. They were on bye, so we haven't been talking about them as much, but they're getting healthier. McCaffrey's a beast. The 49ers are playing good. They're a under-the-radar team, but they've been so good in the NFC in recent years. So at number 9, they are definitely scary. Number 8 is Houston. They continue to move up for me, continuing this win streak. Now they look like they are close to a sure thing for the playoffs after that victory. I've got them at 8. And at number 7, this is where you had the Lions last week, Luke. I thought it was a little too high at that time. But now they've proven it after getting a bounce-back win against the Cowboys. and they're looking like they have a path to the playoffs as long as they can continue to be that team we saw on Thursday. So that's my bottom half of the six pack. What do you think?
Well, I would like to see maybe a little Jaguars action. I don't think they've gotten any love from the 12 pack all year, and this is probably the time to do it. They might be able to make it into mine next week. You'll have to stay tuned, but it looks like you don't have them in this week. Maybe bump the Cowboys out, but besides that, looking pretty good. Texans, I think, are a better team than you have them right now, but we'll see who you got above them.
Number six, I've got the Buffalo Bills. And yes, the Texans did beat the Bills recently, but that was at home, so a little bit there. Buffalo, it's Josh Allen, and we're getting close to the playoff time, so you know he is going to be a big player in the AFC. Somebody's going to have a good game to beat the Bills in the playoffs. It's not going to be the Chiefs probably this year, but that's usually what it takes is an all-star performance, so they deserve a top six spot. Number five, just ahead of them is the Denver Broncos. That is a dominant defense, and their offense still gives me question marks, so I can't put them any higher than five, especially when at number four is the team that is going on the road to Denver and is favored against them, the Green Bay Packers. I think that the Packers are the better team than the Broncos. Broncos being at home this week could be the difference, but Green Bay is looking sharp on offense now, a lot better than they were earlier in the season. Starting to click, starting to gel. Green Bay at four. Top three, I've got New England at three. The Patriots and Drake May just continue to get the job done. So this is a big test this week against the Bills, but right now I think they've earned a top three spot, and the top two are the NFC West teams. Luke, I'm going to flip them. I've got the Seahawks at two because it's Darnold, and the Rams, they deserve to drop after that Panthers game a couple weeks ago, but then they bounced back with a dominant win against the Cardinals, showing everybody what they're capable of. I think they deserve to be back at the top of the NFL.
All right, Brian. Yeah, the top there, I think that was pretty solid. The only thing I would switch, I think you got to bring those Broncos and Bills and switch those with the Lions and the Texans. And then I think you're pretty close to a perfect list. The Patriots, still, we're not exactly sure where they're at, right? A lot of easy teams they've been going up against, easiest strength of schedule in the league. But might as well just leave them as a placeholder for three until they play some real competition.
And we got the Eagles and the Chiefs, last year's Super Bowl matchup, and the last two Super Bowl champs out of it. So, wow, how about that?
Crazy. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Warranted.
They have both collapsed at this point, but who knows? It's still got time left, even though we've been having a great time all season. Well, at least I have. B, maybe not as much. But we've had fun watching some football action all year long, and there's still some time left for your team to make a push.
I certainly hope so, Luke. It's going to be a fun week of NFL football. I like a lot of underdogs this week, as we were talking about throughout the week. So it's going to be a very fun week of the NFL season. Either the Chiefs season is completely over, or maybe there's a glimmer of hope. Either way, it'll be probably better for my mental. So that is what we're looking forward to. Luke, what about you?
Yep, I'm excited. The Lions are playing the Rams again. Matthew Stafford, he's a Lions legend, and it's time to take him down again and possibly even stop him from getting his MVP, you know. Maybe if we absolutely demolish him, that would be something, right? Hey, you can't have it all. You can't have all good things. Why don't the Lions defense just ruin his career for a second time?
And Drake May pops, and now he's back to MVP favorite after he beats the Bills. Well, all that we will discuss next week, Luke. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Hesse Bros, our festive fun. Luke's all packered up, and meanwhile, I'm giving out wins like it is Christmas. So thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, follow on whatever platform you are watching on, and we'll talk to you again next week after some more football.